Who can resist watching an episode when they have insomnia? Extreme cold survival techniques for stress relief and sleep aid. He is a blessing for those who suffer from insomnia at night. Hopefully, after reading this, you'll sleep soundly until you naturally wake up. I'm guessing your phone battery is below 100% right now. Quickly crawl into bed, turn up the volume, and make a sound. Next, place your left foot on top of your right foot. Join me in this stress-relieving moment in the dark forests of Ionia. The funeral banner with its headlights and his sister-in-law, big, black, behind him. It broke the silence of the night. To save time collecting firewood, Sangbo set his sights on a broken tree root. He used the overhead light and the example in his hand. Dry part in the hollow. He carried firewood forward. It stopped in front of a small slope. Next, we'll set up our temporary accommodations for tonight. 2 tree branches with natural curves are crossed and fixed. Use hemp rope to simply tie it down. A bare stick was stuck in front of the flag to serve as a seed, with the basic framework of the shelter. Then the waterproof tent was taken out and laid out. The tent skylines were torn tightly and pulled taut on the vertical shaft. In order to prevent the crumbling shelter from collapsing, the savior used a small stick to make several sails. Pull open the sides of the tent, stable and firmly fixed in the ground. Even in the strongest wind, the tent can stand still. The temperature in the woods was very low at midnight. The starving and freezing mourners must light a campfire as soon as possible. With a resolute adventure, as he gently rubbed the vibrating rod in his hand, a tiny flame was successfully lit. After there is enough dry firewood in the sky, under the efforts of the People's Fan Club, a roaring fire was successfully lit inside the campfire. Working at low temperatures for extended periods, his body temperature dropped quickly. At this point, the only solution is to boil a kettle of water. I haven't eaten yet, after a busy day. He opened a can of food, poured it into a pot, and heated it. Before the campfire, the kettle was filled with the sound of boiling. The hot water for the funeral procession was ready. After adding tea leaves, place it back near the fire. Sang Biao lay beside the warm campfire, enjoying the delicious heated canned food. Have a cup of hot tea after your meal to warm yourself up. Snuggled up inside the tent, Sangbo held his sister-in-law, Dahe, and fell soundly asleep. The next morning, heavy snow continued to fall. The tent was surrounded by piles of snow. The forest was already a vast expanse of white. The icy snowflakes woke the sleeping Sungdao. The first thing I do after getting up is chop wood. No flammable ignition. He could only collect the sawdust manually. Then they disappeared into the depths of the forest. Some dry branches grew. After a lot of hard work, the lost campfire reappeared on the snow. There was enough dry firewood in the sky. Big Black also curled up into a ball. In order to get through tonight safely, he continued processing the old firewood that had been placed aside. One person and one dog. At this moment, in front of the bonfire in the icy snow, stick together for warmth. Wait until the firepower is greater. Sangbo began preparing today's breakfast. Crack for quail eggs into the pot. A few minutes later, a steaming hot birthday celebration was thus completed. In this freezing cold weather, the burrito paired with the birthday gift already made him very satisfied. Waiting for Sangbo to eat 2 or 3 monkeys himself. Then I remembered my sister-in-law Dahe, who was standing next to me. I was hungry all day. Poor Big Black finally got to eat its first hot meal. Heavy snow meets the mountain. The roads in the mountains are currently impassable. The man and his dog could only stay until today. The wind and snow gradually subsided. Sangbo lay inside the tent, drinking hot tea, enjoying the magnificent scenery in the snow forest. Life was also pleasant and leisurely. Who can resist watching an episode before bed? Extremely long wilderness life. It's your stress reliever after a long day. After watching this, I guarantee you'll drift off to sleep soundly. So quickly, grab your phone with 23% battery remaining. Find the most comfortable position to lie down. Get ready to start your sleep today. A heavy snowstorm swept across Eastern Europe. The forest was covered in white snow. Rock, hunter Okong, bringing his companion Ergo, they arrived early at the small forest. Wooden house. The forest, after a snowfall, is the best time for hunting. The energetic Argo is ready to go. He kept breathing heavily. The enchanting fresh air of the jungle. Archong first gathered some dry firewood and stored it away. The weather is very cold now. Sufficient firewood must be prepared for heating. Clean up the little house. Then I went outside to check the situation. The ground was completely covered by snow. The river has not yet been stirred. Everything looks so beautiful. He returned to the hut and lit a fire to keep warm. I slept all day in the warm little cabin. I didn't wake up until 11 p.m. Simply boil a pot of soup to make a broth. For example, dry firewood from the Zhong family. Boil a kettle of water. After eating and drinking to your heart's content, continue to sleep and rest. This also allowed Ergo to get enough rest. Their much anticipated hunting trip begins tomorrow, around 6 a.m. Then he took Ergo and boarded the small boat to set off. Slide to the woods on the other side. Ergo led the way, searching for prey tracks in the woods. In this pine forest, the most common creature is the squirrel. This is also Akyang's main target. He set up some traps next to the big tree. Place bait on top. Then they took Ergo deep into the woods. The target was found based on Ergo's guidance. Arkyang's marksmanship was unparalleled. Shoot down a large bird. Ergo deserves a lot of credit. First, cut off one of his legs and give it to him. I'll make soup with the rest. Add tomato sauce. Enjoy a delicious meal like this tonight. There's nothing more pleasant than this. On the morning of the 3rd day, I found the clip I had put there the day before. Successfully caught a squirrel. This head is quite large. After hot water hair removal treatment, store it in the treehouse. It has to be said that Arkang's marksmanship is truly remarkable, thanks to Argo's assistance. However, not all Argo are so brave. Encountering a strong brown bear, he could only flee in disarray. Chong wouldn't let her go, risk a direct confrontation. In a few days, I'll show you how to hunt brown bears. That's all for today. May you all have sweet dreams tonight. After a blizzard, the forest was completely covered by a thick layer of snow. Ignite it, and it transforms into something like a fairy tale. Chong arrived at the small wooden house with his backpack on. He wants to be in his favorite weather, living in a cabin. Experience the charm of nature. First, use your feet to quickly clean up the chicken blood in front of the door. Sitting on the tree stump in front of the door, have a strong cup of coffee. Take a break. Only then did he carry his luggage to the cabin. The current temperature is below -10 degrees Celsius. It was just as cold inside the cabin as it was outside. Okshong first put some dry firewood on his hands. Put it in the fireplace to light a fire and warm the cabin. Wisps of smoke rose from the scallions. The cottage has come back to life, judging from the thickness of the snow on the roof. Several heavy snowfalls have already occurred this winter. The surrounding trees were covered with all sorts of snow. The ball looks spectacular. Okong needs to have the doorframe repaired, to make the door fit more tightly, to prevent cold wind from getting into the cabin. Before winter arrives, Chung has already stored up a lot of firewood, sufficient for a long time. After the doorframe is finished, he took some pieces of wood from beside the side wall. They chopped them into planks and carried them into the hut. This amount of firewood is enough to keep the fireplace burning all night. Then he took out a bowl of instant rice, cut into small pieces and put into a pot to cook for a few minutes. Have a simple lunch. When the wings have strength, start clearing the snow from the roof. Although the house looks very sturdy, but just to be on the safe side, every time I come here, he needs to clear the snow off the roof. In the evening, the outside temperature reached -21 degrees Celsius. The burning fireplace made the cabin a bit stuffy. Okong brought the coffee outside. Cool yourself down. When it gets completely dark, he lit a bonfire at the door. Heat oil in a wok. Pan fry 3 sausages. Make a simple dinner. After eating and drinking to their heart's content, extinguish the campfire. I can stay peacefully in the cabin tonight. Have a sweet dream. Early the next morning, Chang got up early. The air in the woods is even fresher in the early morning. The trees under the rising sun looked as if they were edged with gold. The snow seen at this moment has its own unique charm. The temperature also reached an astonishing -28 degrees Celsius. Back to the hut by building a wall. Take out the chainsaw. We plan to open a small window in the side wall. Make the cabin brighter. However, he must be very careful during this process. Even a slight mistake is difficult to correct. Under Akwang's skillful operation, a small window was completed quickly. Not only does it improve the lighting of the cabin, it also makes it convenient to view the snow scenery outside. He can come to the cottage often from now on, enjoy a relaxing day or two. After a blizzard, Eastern Europe was covered by a thick layer of snow. Okong pulled the sled across the snow. He was on his way to the secret base, the small cemetery in the woods, to enjoy the pleasure of solitude in a world of white snow. Dry birch bark was found along the way. He would collect them without hesitation. This bark is perfect for starting a fire. This stop-and-go approach took most of the time. The day finally arrived at the cottage. The rooftops were covered in snow. The surrounding snow scenery also looks beautiful. Take a quick look at the situation outside. He couldn't wait to open the door. The cabin remained exactly as it was when he last left. All involved are intact. It's just as cold inside as it is outside. He cleaned up the remaining ashes in the fireplace. Prepare to light the stove for warmth. The wind was biting cold outside. The trees swayed in the wind. The snow on the branches was blown down by the wind. It's like it's snowing. However, the sturdy little house can keep it dry. Some firewood was left behind. Put them in the fireplace. Use the collected tree bark to start a fire. It won't take long. The cabin will become very warm and comfortable. As the fire in the furnace burned, wisps of blue smoke were pushed into the chimney. Only then did Ah Chong begin to unload the items from the sled, moved into the small house. After finishing the work, put down the folding wooden table. The carbonized texture looks very beautiful. The cabin had warmed up by now. He poured himself a cup of tea and rested for a moment. Let your cold limbs stretch out. Enough firewood. Only then can the cabin stay warm. To be able to sleep soundly at night, he took a sharp axe. Dragging a chainsaw, cut the fallen tree trunks nearby into logs for future heating use. They worked until it was completely dark. Only then were all the logs split into strips, neatly stacked. Ah Chong then returned to the hut with peace of mind. Pour yourself a cup of tea to warm up. The temperature inside the cabin reached 20 degrees Celsius. He cleaned the dust off the floor and bed. The small wooden table was also wiped clean with a tissue. Start preparing dinner. First, wrap the potatoes in aluminum foil. Roast in the fireplace. At this moment, snowflakes began to fall again outside. It looked extremely cold with the biting wind. Waiting time. He used an axe to trim the edges of the wooden door. Makes it easier to turn on and off. After you're done with these things, hang the axe up. It's clear that Ah-Chung is a meticulous person. The cottage was kept in a neat and tidy manner. Take the roasted potatoes out and cut them into small pieces. Wrap the potato chunks in bacon. It needs to be grilled over charcoal again. Dinner was finally ready, half an hour later. Ah-Chung ate with satisfaction. After eating and drinking to your heart's content, close the small window. Put away the wooden table. Lay out a warm sleeping bag. Insert the pin. Full of security. Lying in a comfortable bed. In a warm and comfortable little house. I drifted off to sleep peacefully. After a once-in-a-century snowfall. Forests of Eastern Europe, encased in thick snow. Ah-Chung was driving a four-wheel drive snowmobile. Speeding across the snow. This kind of weather is the perfect time to relax. Other positive. Rushing to the cabin in the jungle. I planned to stay there for a day. Enjoy the happiness of being alone. Because it was driving too fast. The stove on the sled was thrown 10 meters away. He had no choice but to carefully move it back up. Snowflakes were still falling from the sky. The temperature is also very low. He needs to get to the cabin as soon as possible. Reattach the sled to the vehicle. We drove non-stop for 2 hours. Finally arrived at the destination. The cold weather made him move slowly. They moved the heavy fireplace down and placed it next to the cabin. First, enjoy the fairy tale-like snow scenery around you. My mood instantly improved. All the hardships along the way became worthwhile. After recovering a little, he returned to the cabin. It was just as cold inside as it was outside. After taking the supplies out of the backpack, they then covered the fireplace with some wooden strips to keep warm. The burning fireplace quickly warmed the cabin. Ah-Chung's frozen body also relaxed. Use a brush to clear the snow off the doorframe. The cabin is very sturdy and thick. Ah-Chung feels completely safe inside. The outside temperature was -8 degrees Celsius. He became a pot of blood. Boil a kettle of water. Make a cup of coffee. Sitting under the orange-yellow light. It looks very warm and cozy. It got dark very quickly. The snow outside has gotten even thicker. There needs to be enough firewood to keep the fire burning. Only a small cabin can always be warm. He picked up an axe and cleared out a wooden stake. Then, take out a few pieces of wood. Prepare to chop some firewood. Although I've been constantly busy here, but Ah-Chung felt incredibly relaxed inside. I haven't felt this carefree in a long time. Even chopping wood makes him happy. The firewood was ready in no time. Moved back to the shelter. After the fire in the stove is burning brightly. Start preparing dinner. Although I live alone, you can't neglect your stomach. A simple, unpretentious dinner was ready in no time. He started eating by himself. These foods provide enough calories for the body. After eating and drinking to their heart's content, they filled the fireplace with firewood. Tonight we can stay in the cabin. Have a nice, sweet dream. I woke up early the next morning. You can see the white snow world outside through the window. The enchanting snow scenery is breathtaking. Archong changed into snow boots. Come outside the cabin to breathe in the fresh air. The temperature reached -19 degrees Celsius. Very cold. Wisps of smoke drifted from the chimney. At this moment, the log cabin was like an elf from a fairy tale. The cottage is just as beautiful. Okhong cleared the snow off the snowmobile. Start the engine. A relaxing and pleasant day. It invigorated him. Driving a snowmobile. Go to my early shift happily.